Hi, my name is Keith, and I want to record a video that explains how to factor a trinomial into two binomials. So what we want to use as an example is, let's use this example, 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. To figure out this problem, what I do, I'm going to just set it up like this, is that there are some problems, like in this case a trinomial, where we learn that to factor it, we can't just factor it by taking like these three terms and saying, oh, I can, factor a 3 out of x squared and a 3 out of 14, a 3 out of 8. Because you see, 3 doesn't fit into 14 and 3 doesn't fit into 8 by division. We know 3 can divide into itself evenly. 3 divides into 3 one time. But 3 doesn't divide into 14 an even number of times. And 3 doesn't divide into 8 an even number of times. So it almost looks like you can't factor this. But there is a method for all trinomials that will work where you could factor this problem. And so what you do is you figure out to find two numbers that add to 14, but also multiply to the outside product. The outside product is 24 because 3 times 8 equals 24. So when you multiply outside numbers, see 3 and 8 are outside. They're like, and 14 is like on the inside. See, it's kind of like in the middle. It's like inside between these two numbers. And 3 and 8 is on the outside. So you multiply the outside numbers and you get what I call the outside product. The outside product is 24. The inside number, you just drop it down right there, because this is a number that's all by itself. So you just say, what is an inside sum of 14? What two numbers add to 14? But also, those same numbers multiply to 24. We're going to find out that 12 and 2 is the answer. 12 plus 2 is 14, and 12 times 2 is 24. So now what you do is you take, I'm actually going to use another marker because my ink is running low. We're going to do 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. So when you find the two special numbers, and we know we have the two numbers that make an outside product of 24, and we know we have two numbers that make an inside sum of 14. We split this 14 into the two numbers that add to 14 and multiply to 24. So when you look at x, you could think of it as 14 objects called x. Maybe you could think of x as the first letter that describes the name of Xbox 360 video game system. Just to help you see that you have a collection of 14 x's, or maybe 14 Xbox 360s, and it's equal to 12 of them, equal to 12 x's plus 2 x's. And see, we took a trinomial and we made it into a four-termed situation. We have a mathematical situation that now has 4 terms. And this is way easier to factor than looking at this, because this doesn't look very familiar. Like, how do you you can't factor a 3 out of 14, and you can't factor a 3 out of 8, because 3 doesn't divide into 14 and 8 evenly. I mean, it divides into 14, but leaves you with a remainder. And so we don't want a remainder. So we find our special numbers 12 and 2, and we use those numbers 12 and 2 to split the 14. And 14x is 12x plus 2x. Because imagine like that x represents the name of something like Xbox 360. Well, isn't 14 Xbox 360s equal to 12 of them plus 2 more of them? And so now, to finish factoring this problem, we're going to factor from these two terms and factor from these two terms. And so we factor from 2 terms and then we factor from these 2 terms. So what number or term can divide into 3x squared and 12x evenly? Well, 3 can divide into 3 and 3 can divide into 12 evenly. X can divide into x squared, and and into a single x evenly. So I could pull an x out of two x's, and I could pull an x out of one x. That will work. Then we got to put the parentheses there. So when we redistribute 3x to two terms that are being added together, it's going to create 3x squared and 12x. And then what can divide evenly into 2x and 8? 2. So we pull out a 2. And of course, 2 times x is 2x. So, and we know we're dealing with addition. And factoring 2 out of 2x, you get 2. Factoring a 2 out of 4, pulling a 2 out of 4, a 2 out of 8, that leaves you with 4. 3x times what equals 3x squared? That's x. 3x times what equals 12x? That's 4. Sorry about the dot. Didn't mean to draw a dot there. So 3x times x plus 4 plus 2 times x plus 4. See how you have the same two terms in common? Well, now you just draw. Now when you see two copies of the same thing, you write it down as one copy. You remember to write it down as one copy. When you see two of the same thing, you write it as one copy. And you drop down whatever is not in the parentheses into their own set of parentheses. So the 3x and the plus 2 are not in parentheses, so you just drop them into their own parentheses, and voila, the problem is solved. So using FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, the acronym, for multiplying the first terms, the outside terms, the inside terms, the last terms, if you know what FOIL is, then you can remultiply this problem here, and you will get back to the original 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. So again, 3x squared plus 14x plus 8, 3 times 8 is 24. And then the 14x, you drop down the 14 and you see that two numbers, 12 plus 2 equals 14, but 12 times 2 is 24. So 12 and 2 are the special numbers that you would split 14x into in the 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. So you got 3x squared plus 12x plus 2x plus 8, and then you factor from these two terms, and then you go and factor from these two terms. So these terms, you factor 3x, which leaves you with x plus 4 on the inside, and you factor the 2, and it leaves you with x plus 4 on the inside. And you drop down the x plus 4, because when you see two copies of the same term, you just make it one copy. And whatever is not in parentheses, you drop it down, and that completes the problem. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.